So let's talk about water. Water is probably your most precious resource while dry camping. If you're driving a big rig like us, moving every time to fill your fresh water tank can probably get pretty annoying. Sure, you can use bladders to fill up, but what are some other ways to help with water waste? That's what I'll be sharing with you in today's installation video. So for most of this installation, I'll be using some of the fittings I already have, and then for the harder to get areas, I'll be using these shark bites. It'll be much easier to use a shark bite fitting in areas like underneath my cabinet and drop the line straight down into the floor. Same thing like in the kitchen area right here. Tap in, put an elbow in it, and draw it straight through the floor and come up right through here. So I'm just going to punch through right through there and run the line all the way over, and then I'll probably just follow it around. So this is where a T-fitting is perfect with a shark bite, because there's no way I get a crimp tool in there, but I can just push the T-fitting on and then attach the other end going that way. The other side of this will come over the wall, and from that point I'll be able to put elbows wherever I need to put them, so that I can put the solenoid in and have it return to my tank. The connections inside are pretty straightforward. I just tapped into the hot water line and then ran the return through the floor. Sometimes the copper rings can be a pain to get to stay in place, so I just give them a little squeeze with a pair of pliers and then follow it up with a crimp tool. So I'm really not happy with that bend. So what I'll have to do is pull it out on the other end and fish it back through straight and take a 90 over. From the underside, you can see I've got an elbow there, and I just kind of fished it around back through there, and then it goes straight over and out the other side over there. You can see this is how it comes up through the floor. I made a T-fitting to pop into the hot line there, and I went ahead and moved that line back and refished these to get them kind of out of the way. I know I didn't do much with this one, but before they were both on this side and they kind of came into the cabinet area here. I didn't want to mess with moving this one, because you could see if I would have stacked them on top of each other, it would have made it much harder to plumb that fitting in straight down. So I did move that over and get it in an easier spot to work in. So I will come back with a strain relief and tie this to the wall here just to keep that from bending. As you can see, it's got a little bit of a curve on it, and when I take that out, so I'm just going to put a strain relief on it to kind of straighten that up and get some of that stress off that joint. I'm going to use elbows on this fitting, and that's just because that'll make it easier to plumb my water line away from here instead of coming into the sides, because I didn't really have anywhere to run the water to the side. So I'm going to put one of these on both sides, and I'm going to pre-build one side to fit into the shark bite. Put the solenoid here and then just pop that into that fitting right there. So I've got everything hooked up and got my shark bite pieces in. They're not leaking. I've already gone inside, but unfortunately that one is leaking, and I don't know if it's because it's too tight. And I stripped some of the brass fitting threads away, but I'm gonna go ahead and test it to make sure it works. So I'm gonna leave everything hooked up, and I'm just gonna get a 12-volt battery on here and see if I can get this thing working. I'm just going to use a 12-volt battery to test it. It's not polarity specific, so I can just hook it up and just going to see if it opens and allows water to flow back into the tank. And I'm going to listen for my water heater to come on. Working. Well, now I just got to fix that. So I like these little transmitters and receivers that you can purchase on Amazon. They're fairly cheap, and I went ahead and picked up a second remote, and all the instructions that came with it were pretty clear. Even with the remote, it had its own little set of instructions, so I thought that was really great. Made it easier for the installation. And I thought I'd go ahead here and show you how I pre-wired it just before I installed it to make things easier and speed it up. But unfortunately, it didn't quite work out as well as I had hoped. So it suggests, and I've used other Milo switches to loop the ground to this common, but I could never get the power to work properly switched on this setup. And then you have, to power load directly, you can do your positive and negative, and then your load, and basically it's always in a normally open position, and then it closes whenever you switch it on. So I couldn't get it to work that way, so what I ended up having to do is I took a loop from the positive up to the normally open there, and then I ran the power to the solenoid, and then I grounded my solenoid up there. And it works just like I wanted it to. So now water is coming through both that side and my sink through the T fitting there, running down into the solenoid and then running down into the water here and back into my tank. I will say that the secondary remote that I got by accident, it was exactly as the instructions state here to program. Just to pair a second device, you push the pairing button once and it'll flash 3 times, and then you press the transmit button on this remote, it pairs up instantly. So, and these remotes are made specifically for that relay. And then the pairing button is just right up here in the corner. So, but we're gonna go inside and see how it works. So not a super cold morning, but I can promise the water is still gonna be cold down in our basement. First off, diesel heater's running there. That was a lovely addition for heat. And over here in my wet bay. All right, so using my little gun here, I'm just gonna see what the temperature is on the water line. So it's at 50 degrees, and that's gonna be pretty cold for any shower inside. Turn the solenoid on. We're just gonna let it run. And this takes about a good 2 minutes, so we'll fast forward through this. But my water heater is running. I'm gonna leave that running. We're just gonna go back inside. So now we're a few minutes in. I'm gonna turn the shower on first, like that. And now I'll go ahead and turn the pump off and let the water run. And the water is warm already. Can't really hit the water drops. There's a good one, 70 degrees. So, not bad. 2 minutes of not wasting water to have instant hot water in the shower. We can check the kitchen sink too. And it's hot right away. So, not bad. You can see the steam coming right up.
Isn't that neat?
Isn't that neat?